She's not staring at your bank account. She's not measuring the lines on your face. She's reading something else entirely, something most men over 30 have no idea they're broadcasting every single time they open their mouth. It's not your car. It's not your job title. It's not even your body. It's whether you flinch. Every woman at every age is running a silent test on the men around her. Younger women run it faster, and older men fail it more than anyone expects. Not because they're too old, but because they're trying too hard to prove they aren't. So if you've ever wondered why some 50-year-old man walks into a room and a 28-year-old woman leans toward him without knowing why, while a nervous 32-year-old gets ignored, stay right here. Because the answer isn't what dating culture has been selling you, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. This is for the man who stood in front of a mirror lately and wondered if his window closed. The one who scrolls past couples half his age and feels a quiet ache he doesn't say out loud. Maybe you've been told that age is just a number, and some part of you nodded along while another part of you didn't believe it for a second. Let's not pretend that away. Getting older in a culture obsessed with youth is uncomfortable, and if you're feeling that discomfort, it means you're paying attention, not that you're failing. Here's what nobody tells you. The discomfort itself is the problem, not the age. Not the wrinkles, not the hairline, not the years. The anxiety underneath them. Because women, younger women especially, aren't running age calculations in their heads when they meet you. They're running a different kind of scan, one that's older than dating apps, older than social media, older than the entire concept of a market value chart. It's a nervous system scan. Are you steady? Are you safe? Are you someone whose mood she has to manage? Or someone whose presence lets her stop managing everything for 5 minutes? That's the truth this video is going to unpack, piece by piece, until it stops sounding like a theory and starts sounding like something you already half knew but never had language for. Here's my promise to you. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the single psychological quality that makes older men magnetic to younger women, not despite the age gap, but because of what that age gap can represent when it's carried correctly. You're going to understand exactly why some men your age are thriving in ways that seem to defy logic, while others your age are invisible in rooms full of people. And you're going to walk away with specific, practical ways to close that gap starting today. Not in 5 years, not after a transformation montage, today. But I want to plant 2 things in your mind before we go further, because they matter more than anything else in this video. First, attraction is not built the way most men think it's built. Most men believe attraction is additive. Add money, add muscle, add status, add height, and eventually you cross some invisible finish line where women start noticing you. That's not how it works, and if it were, every wealthy 60-year-old would have his pick of any woman on earth. Some do. Most don't. Something else is happening underneath the surface, something that has almost nothing to do with the resume. Second, younger women are not attracted to older men in spite of experience. They're attracted to a specific product of experience, one that a lot of older men actually throw away the moment they start chasing youth instead of owning their age. Hold on to that. It's going to make sense very soon. Because right now, I want to talk about what's actually happening in her mind in the first 90 seconds of meeting you, and why almost every man gets this part wrong before he's even said a full sentence. Here's what most men believe. Younger women are attracted to older men for resources. Financial stability, a nicer apartment, a paid-off car, someone who's figured it out. That belief is comfortable because it's simple, and it's popular because it lets a man think the solution is just to earn more. It's also incomplete, and the missing piece is the whole story. Resources explain access. They explain why a woman might say yes to a first date. They do not explain attraction, and they definitely do not explain why women stay, lean in, and choose an older man over someone their own age who has just as much money and half the baggage. What actually happens is rooted in something psychologists call attachment security. Not the version people throw around casually online, the actual mechanism. A securely attached nervous system doesn't spike with anxiety when things go quiet. It doesn't need constant reassurance. It doesn't punish silence with distance or reward closeness with obsession. And here's the part that changes everything. Women feel this in your body language before they hear it in your words. Think about the last time you were around someone who was completely unbothered. Not cold, not aloof, just settled. You relaxed around them without deciding to. That's not charisma, that's regulation. And regulation is rare. Here's the twist nobody wants to admit. Most men don't get calmer with age. They get more anxious. Career pressure stacks up. Comparison culture gets louder. A man in his 40s scrolling through a dating app filled with 25-year-olds isn't calmer than he was at 25. He's often more insecure, because now there's more to lose and less time to fix it. And that anxiety leaks out in 100 tiny ways. Over-texting, over-explaining, over-complimenting, needing to know where things stand within the first week. Younger women pick up on this instantly, even if they can't name it. It doesn't read as older man who has his life together. It reads as man who is scared of losing me, and fear is not attractive at any age. Now picture the opposite. A man in his mid-40s who has clearly lived, who has failed at things, rebuilt things, buried people he loved, walked away from jobs that didn't fit and relationships that didn't work, and came out the other side without bitterness, not hardened, not performing wisdom, just quiet. He doesn't need her validation to know who he is, because he already spent 20 years finding that out the hard way. That is the thing younger women describe when they try to explain why they're drawn to an older partner, and they almost never use the word money. They use words like grounded, steady, doesn't play games, knows what he wants. That last one matters more than people realize. Cognitive dissonance makes uncertainty exhausting for the human brain, and a partner who creates constant uncertainty forces the nervous system into overdrive. A partner who is simply clear becomes a relief. Here's a scenario. Two men, both 44, at the same social event. One immediately compliments a 26-year-old on her appearance, asks a string of eager questions, and checks his phone twice to see if she's texted after they exchange numbers. The other spends most of the night in easy conversation with several people, laughs once, genuinely, at something she said, and leaves the night without asking for her number at all. She ends up asking a mutual friend for his. Same age, same table, wildly different result. The difference wasn't confidence as a personality trait. It was the absence of urgency. Urgency is the tell. Urgency says, I need this to work because I'm running out of time. And on some level, every woman in the room can smell that sentence, whether it's spoken or not. So if resources aren't the real driver and looks aren't the real driver, what is the actual psychological asset an older man has access to that a younger man simply hasn't earned yet? Let's turn this into something you can actually use, starting tonight. Step 1. Stop competing with younger men on their terms. The action. Retire the playbook that worked at 25, the constant texting, the performative confidence, the need to be the loudest person in the room. Replace it with restraint. Say less. Respond slower, not out of strategy, but because your life doesn't revolve around your phone anymore. The psychology. Younger women who are drawn to older men are usually drawn to them specifically because they're tired of the anxious, reactive energy of men their own age. If you mimic that energy, you've erased your one real advantage. The common mistake. Men hear confidence and perform it loudly, bragging, over-explaining accomplishments, name-dropping success. Real confidence doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. The moment you're explaining why you're impressive, you've already lost the frame. Step 2. Own your timeline instead of hiding it. The action. Stop apologizing for your age, your divorce, your kids, your gray hair, your slower knees. State facts about your life plainly, without a defensive tone and without over-justifying. The psychology. Defensiveness signals shame, and shame is one of the fastest attraction killers that exists. When you say, I have 2 kids and I'm not looking to rush anything, in a flat, grounded tone, it reads as self-possession. When you say the same sentence while visibly bracing for rejection, it reads as a red flag. The common mistake, over-explaining. The more you justify your age or your circumstances, the more it sounds like you don't believe your own explanation. One clean sentence beats 5 nervous ones every time. Step 3. Build a life that doesn't require her to complete it. The action. Audit your week. If dating, texting, or thinking about a specific woman is consuming more mental space than your actual goals, friendships, and interests, that imbalance is visible to her whether you say it out loud or not. The psychology. Humans are wired to detect neediness through what's called approach anxiety in reverse. When someone needs you too much, your nervous system treats it as a burden, not a compliment, even if you like them. A full life doesn't just make you more interesting, it removes the desperation that kills chemistry before it starts. The common mistake: mistaking obsession for romance. Constant thinking about her, rearranging your schedule around her, treating her interest like the missing piece of your happiness. This is the number one thing that turns a promising connection cold within 2 weeks. Step 4. Let silence do work for you. The action. After a good conversation or a good date, resist the urge to immediately text something to keep the momentum going. Let a natural gap exist. The psychology. Uncertainty, used correctly, is not manipulation. It's simply the absence of over-availability. When you're not constantly filling every silence, you give her nervous system room to notice what it's missing, instead of being flooded with reassurance she didn't ask for. The common mistake: treating every gap in communication as an emergency that needs fixing with more messages. This is the fastest way to convert calm interest into quiet withdrawal. Step 5. Regulate before you relate. The action. Before any date, any text, any moment of tension, check your own state. Are you anxious? Are you seeking reassurance? Handle that first, through exercise, through a walk, through a conversation with a friend, before you bring it into the interaction. The psychology. This is the core of what attachment-secure behavior actually is. It's not a personality type you're born with. It's a skill of managing your own nervous system so it doesn't leak into your interactions. Women don't fall for calm as a performance. They fall for calm as a byproduct of a man who has actually done the work on himself. The common mistake: trying to act calm while internally spiraling. It doesn't work. She will feel the gap between your words and your energy because the body always tells the truth first. Now here's the part most videos skip because it's not as satisfying as a 5-step list. None of this works if you're doing it to win her over in the next 2 weeks. I know that's not what you wanted to hear. I know some part of you clicked on this video hoping for a shortcut, a script, a way to fast-track your way into being irresistible by Friday. But the qualities we just talked about, the steadiness, the self-possession, the calm, those aren't tactics you deploy. They're a state you build. And states that are built under pressure, purely to impress someone, collapse the second the pressure changes. If you're anxious right now about your age, about being behind, about watching younger men move faster through life while you're still figuring things out, that anxiety is understandable. But it's also the exact thing standing between you and the version of yourself that doesn't need to chase anyone. Here's the reframe I want you to sit with. You are not competing against 25-year-old men. You were never in that race. What you're building isn't youth. You can't build that. And trying to fake it reads as exactly what it is. What you're building is a nervous system that doesn't need her approval to feel whole. And the strange, almost unfair truth of psychology is that the moment you stop needing that approval, you start receiving it. This isn't about becoming cold or detached. It's the opposite. It's becoming so settled in who you are that warmth stops feeling like a risk. The men who pull this off aren't the ones with the most money or the tightest jawline. They're the ones who stopped negotiating with their own worth a long time ago. And everyone around them can feel the difference the second they walk into a room. So if you're not there yet, good. That means there's a direction to walk in. And walking in that direction is the entire process, not a countdown, not a deadline, a direction. Every time you resist the urge to overtext, you're walking in it. Every time you speak about your life plainly instead of apologizing for it, you're walking in it. Every time you choose your own regulation over her reassurance, you're walking in it. There is no arrival point where you're suddenly done and attraction becomes automatic forever. There's just a man who keeps choosing steadiness over urgency again and again until it's no longer a choice. It's just who he is. And that man doesn't attract younger women because he's trying to. He attracts them because he finally stopped trying and started being. That's the whole secret. Not youth, not money, not charm. Presence that doesn't shake. If this gave you something to sit with today, hit subscribe so the next one finds you. And tell me in the comments, what's the one thing on this list you're going to work on this week? I read every comment and I want to know where you're starting from.